Dis vir my vreeslik lekker om vanoggend met Dereck Milburn te gesels. Hy is die direkteur van WeWildAfrica. Dereck, welcome to GROTplaas. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Mia, and hi to all your listeners.
Just to set the scene, tell me about this. I mean, you guys undertook the world's largest translocation of vultures and an emergency exit of an elephant. What exactly is the background of this big thing that happened?
Okay, yeah. So WeWildAfrica, as an organization, we've been going since about 2019, and this year we decided to create a bit more awareness about what it is that we do. So and hence the fact that we've gone out to the media to really talk about these large-scale projects that are being undertaken,
yes,
and specifically to really show the plight of the species that we work with. So specifically in the vulture case, on the 23rd of January, we collaborated with a few partners, which I'll go into now, to translocate 163 vultures, which is the largest translocation of vultures ever undertaken in the world. So we partnered with an organization called VulPro, which is a rehabilitation and research and conservation entity for vultures. Is probably the largest and best in Africa, if not the world. And then we moved them down to Shamari Private Game Reserve in the Eastern Cape. So Shamari Private Game Reserve with the other partners, and then DHL provided the transport. So it was a massive undertaking. We loaded all the vultures in about 2 hours. It took a team of about 50 people to do it. And then we drove them down 1,000 kilometers over 18 hours to Shamari. So we had to build 163 individual crates for the vultures. It was 2 interlinks provided by DHL. So it really was a huge undertaking, and quite a special undertaking at that, considering that vultures are very much overlooked.
Yes. Why exactly was it needed to do this translocation? What was the need behind it?
The VulPro facility initially was built in Hartbeespoort Dam, and there's obviously a number of reasons for that. There's a wild population of vultures there that depend on VulPro. They feed them every day, so they get at least a safe and secure source of food, because, as you know, vultures get poisoned on a daily basis. Yes. And they also set up facilities there for injured birds. So often, the vultures fly into power lines or wind turbines, or especially power lines are the main issue, and then they get injured wings and they can't fly. But these birds can still breed. So VulPro has basically been breeding vultures at the facility and then releasing them wherever possible. And then also in terms of rescues, sometimes the vultures in captivity are badly kept. We worked with them a few years ago in rescuing 2 vultures from a facility in the Eastern Cape. But the point of this was to actually manage the risk and move the vultures to Shamari, which spent millions and millions of rands providing bigger enclosures. Obviously, the enclosures at VulPro were getting a bit small for the number of birds. So we basically moved them all to the Eastern Cape. They're going to be supplementing the population in the Eastern Cape now. And, we've got fledglings there that are going to be released. And then obviously the birds that will breed are going to breed and hopefully contribute to the population.
I love your name, the name WeWildAfrica. And I'm thinking, when it comes to your approach, what makes your approach unique, in a sense, if we compare to other wildlife conservation NGOs?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. We definitely try to be unique. We don't just want to compete with other NGOs, because we believe that every NGO needs to make an impact. So we're definitely not trying to compete with the work that other organizations are doing. And that's why we really played on the word WeWildAfrica to say WeWildAfrica. And the whole philosophy is that we get things done. So, we on the forefront of a lot of emergency operations. Just to give you an idea, in the last, call it 2 weeks, we've pretty much removed bullets from 2 rhinos. Yesterday, we worked with the Mpumalanga Tourism and Parks Agency to rescue 4 buffaloes that broke out of a reserve. We helped chase elephants back into Ndumu. We're working with squirrels. So, our ability to respond quickly without bureaucracy really puts us in a different bracket, I believe. And then also we take on very diverse projects. So on the one side, we're doing emergency rescue work. So we'll rescue anything from a squirrel to an elephant. We're quite well known for our elephant translocations. Then, secondly, we also do rewilding. So we don't believe animals belong in captivity, and we like to take animals from captivity and put them back into the wild. Obviously, that needs to be done responsibly, and only certain animals can be put back into the wild. For example, and I'm just going to mention one example, we've brought 2 cheetahs from a zoo in Canada and released them in Zimbabwe successfully. They were hunting for themselves, and these are all zoo-born cheetah that had never seen an impala, and now they're hunting profusely, actually.
Yes.
And then the third aspect that we do is landscape restoration. So we help reserves in managing and uplifting those properties. So, you know, a lot of organizations will either focus on one of those aspects, where we try to do all 3,
Yes.
and we try to do it efficiently and effectively.
And I'm also sure for you to be able to do what you do and in the way you do it, there's probably a lot of work done with provincial governments. Why is that so important to you?
Well, provincial governments are key to what we do, and so is national to a degree. But the provincial governments, you know, we depend on them for permits, and we also partner with provincial governments on many of the projects that we do. For example, yesterday we helped the Mpumalanga Tourism and Parks Agency, you know, go and save 4 of their buffalo. So, you know, we really do deal a lot with provincial agencies, as in Velo KZN Wildlife. You know, very often these reserves and organizations are grossly underfunded, under-resourced, but they've got wonderful people. Yeah, and they've got wonderful people working with them. So, you know, from that point of view, we like to partner with government. We believe that it is important, and we need to just see the reality of the situation in our country. And we believe that it is all of our responsibility to manage our heritage. We shouldn't just be pointing fingers at government.
I also read about the Loskop rewilding program. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, so that is probably my call it pet project at the moment. It's our anchor project. So what we're doing is again, coming back to provincial nature reserves and provincial authorities, we're partnering with the Mpumalanga Tourism and Parks Agency. And we are signing a 25-year agreement, partnership agreement with the provincial department to actually assist them in uplifting Loskop Dam Nature Reserve. Now, often people just think as Loskop as a fishing destination, but this reserve is absolutely stunning. The dam itself is 3,500 hectares in size, so equivalent to 3,500 rugby fields.
Yeah.
And that's just the dam component. And then the reserve around it is very pristine. So what we're trying to do is we're going to be uplifting the reserve in terms of infrastructure, so putting in better fences. And then we're going to restock the big 5 and other species which historically occurred there to drive tourism to the area. So it's currently on 23,000 hectares. And one of the main reasons why we chose Loskop specifically was because of the ability to expand the reserve. So our target is to grow Loskop to 100,000 hectares by incorporating provincial or neighboring property that includes community land, private land, and provincial nature reserves.
Yeah.
So we've got big plans at Loskop, and we're on the quarterfinals of signing the agreement. And we're going to be investing about 25 million rand there in the next 3 years, just to upgrade the fencing. And, you know, these partnerships are important.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, it has to be done.
Yeah, and there's nothing more exciting than tackling a project like this and knowing you're making a difference. I mean, that's just amazing. You mentioned the elephants. Now, tell us about the recent Ndumu elephants you saved. That must have been hectic.
Yeah, so elephants is a big topic in the country at the moment. You know, we're very active in the elephant landscape. We often translocating elephants. So I think we, as an organization, are probably one of the only, if not the only organization constantly moving elephants around in Southern Africa. So elephants is a massive issue, you know, where elephants are breaking out of properties and pushing them back, snares on elephants, translocating elephants from one property to another to reduce pressure. You know, last year, before I get on to Ndumu, last year we were the first organization in partnership with Sand Parks and Conservation Solutions to actually move family groups out of Addo Elephant National Park.
Yes.
So that means that we can now do it again and again and again to reduce that population. So we're trying to break boundaries and really manage elephants better. But getting specifically to the Ndumu issue, now, Ndumu is a very unique case because elephants are basically breaking out of the Kruger National Park. They move through southern Mozambique, And there's a lot of human-wildlife conflict that occurs there because these are only groups of bulls. So it's groups, so it's not family units. These are just bulls coming through, which makes it quite difficult.
Stubborn.
Yeah. And then they walk down all the way to Ndumu, which for the listeners, Ndumu is on the border of Mozambique in northern Zululand, right next to Tembe Elephant Park. And Ndumu has never had elephants. They've never been stocked there, so the reserve doesn't have elephant-proof fencing. So literally the elephants walk across the river, which is the border, into South Africa, into Ndumu. Now they're in the safe space where there's no people. So they're now almost become resident there, and they're breaking fences into the villages and around the reserve. And in December, Ezimbelo KZN Wildlife had no option but to shoot a group.
Sure.
And we're now partnering with them to provide helicopter support to be proactive and chase the elephants back into Ndumu. But it is a plaster at the moment. We're just putting a plaster on the issue. There's a much bigger issue. So, yeah, that's basically where we are, yeah.
That's really wild. We are ending off, and I just want to end off with, I'm sure when it comes to, I've thought about this quite some time in my life, when it comes to the relocation and the rescue of wild animals, I'm sure that when you guys become aware of a situation, that you quite literally have to move fast for the process to begin, right?
Yes, so that is what we pride ourselves in. We like to provide solutions within 24 hours, whether it's, again, a squirrel or an elephant.
Yes.
Obviously, with elephants, it's a bit more difficult because you've got to bring in massive equipment, or we find different ways of doing things. But what makes us unique is that we can make those decisions very quickly. In terms of our board, we're very open door policy. We make decisions extremely quickly, where a lot of NGOs first need to, approach boards, get approval. We get things done in that way. And then also we've got access to emergency funding, which is critical in these things. These projects that are extremely expensive. I mean, to send a helicopter for a morning to just chase elephants back to Ndumu, to give you an idea, costs 40,000 Rand.
Yeah.
To move a group of elephants costs about 500,000 Rand. So that's basically what we're working with, and you can't mess around and try and find funding. And, by that time, the animal's dead. And that includes lions. It includes anything that breaks out of a reserve or has a snare, bullets in rhinos. We need to act quickly. And and we've been pretty successful with that. So people now know they can phone us and we will try. Obviously, we can't always get it right. There's lots of dynamics at play. And that's what really breaks our hearts sometimes, is to see what actually happens to some of these animals. So, yeah, we pride ourselves in providing that sort of solution.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is that you guys are just not giving up. And I'm always so grateful that there's organizations like you that just does the good work. It's wonderful. Dereck, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And good luck with all the future ventures.
Thank you so much, Mia. I really appreciate you airing us and giving us the valuable exposure. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. That's why we're here.